Morning, Robert. Good to have you in this morning, mate. I only got to tie one of those Nylon Nymphs, and I wanted to tie up a bunch for ice fishing once our ice comes back. Looks like you got to spud some ice already, so that's cool. I just missed your live there. It was like 10 seconds. Morning, you Oz. Good to have you, mate. Yeah, looks like you got to spud some ice, so that's cool. Well, I appreciate that. I'm curious, do you actually ever find a fire extinguisher that's expired and just has been missed for months on end? I know it does happen because that's the whole reason we check them, but curious if it's actually ever happened to you. Hey, so we're just doing Nylon Nymph today, just like we were yesterday morning. I just wanted to get a few more of these done up for ice fishing for myself. So I'm just going to bring the tying point, or the thread base back to the barb. Smooth it out a little bit here. Good point, actually. I didn't even think about that. You are at a school. I am aware that they do go missing. Very good point. Okay, now we're gonna go for. Well, not that I was ever part of such a thing, but I do know that they make wonderful. If they're the water type, they make wonderful spray guns, and you can refill them yourself. This one is not quite that bad. It's a 12. I'm just tying on a slightly larger size just for the camera's benefit. But you can tie these right down to a 16 or 14. Oh. Yeah, they're not cheap, that's the other thing, right? They cost a good bit. We want to have that just the gap height. We need a huge tail, just a little nymph. Again, this is just to show basically its breathers and its little bit of movement on the back end. Just a little whiff. And for this one, I'm going to switch up. The first ones we did were this clear transparent mono for quilt making. You can use just regular tippet. This is a lot more flexible. And it's cheap, and you can typically find it at thrift stores all the time. Just give me a second to find my end here. Let's do one end. We're going to switch up from the mono, which is the original pattern, to some silver thread, silver metallic. So I like a little bit of flash on mine. We'll tie that in first and we'll get to the body. Yeah, if you want to weight it a bit too, you can always use just a fine wire. Nothing wrong with that. You just want something that'll add a little segmentation for you. And grab the... So again, traditionally this was tied with a, hence the name Nylon Nymph, it was tied with some nylon cordage. So dental floss works really well. Paracord works excellent. Just don't have any to hand at the exact moment. But that's what I would normally use for this, is just strip down a 5-strand paracord. Then strip one of the strands, well, depending on the size of the hook, one of the strands in half. So you don't want it too thick. Yeah, it does. I could be zoomed up a little, but I have to adjust my my camera zoom to get it to focus correctly, so it's backed up a little bit. I should probably be a few inches closer, but it's a 12. Let me double check here. Yeah, that's 12. My grade does look a lot smaller on the hook there, but that's my thumb. You can see it's not tiny, but it's not big. Yeah, I'm just going with 12. If I was doing, like, I could easily, you know, these fish just well on 14s or 16s, but then I gotta readjust all my camera settings to get in close enough for those. Not that I can't do that, just easier to do it on 12. And we're just wrapping the body up with the white here. I did lose a little bit of my cordage wrap. See there, it kind of flattened out. You do want the more segmented chunks like you can see back here. That'll allow the black underbody to show through a little better. Gonna bring it forward, leave us a little bit of room at the head, about half a bodkin width. Bring it back, and we're just gonna increase that taper just a little bit. That'll help our eyes or wings, however you want to term them, for the... I don't have jungle cock on me, so we're going to use starling. I shouldn't say I don't have, I do have, I just don't want to use them on these, because they are not easy to come by in Canada. And I cherish a little bit I have. They're not illegal to own, they're just illegal to import. So you can't get more into the country than what's already here. Yeah, that's the thing. If you get that nice nylon, some dental floss will have the same kind of effect where you get that shiny nylon. And I do like that. And I think that's kind of what the original pattern was going for. This is definitely more floofy. It's not a nylon, it's a poly yarn, but close enough for our intents and purposes. I'm just gonna throw a quick half hitch on there in case I bump it out of the way. There it be. Okay, I'm just gonna get this rib on. There we go. If you don't have the shiny nylon, I just really like the look of the silver ribbing compared to the mono ribbing. Got my exposure down a bit, so I don't think it's showing up as shiny as it should be. But you get the idea. Okay, I'm just going to build up a point where I'm tying these in, so I'm roughly just a hair lower than the body. So when we tie them in, they'll flare out a little bit, but nothing substantially crazy. Yeah, there we go. That's the body. Yeah, you can see it's got a really nice, especially for ice fishing, I feel like that little bit of extra, because there's less light getting through, you know. So that little bit of extra shine just helps to imitate a little bit of oxygen around their body and that sort of thing. And then the black and contrast of these guys really tips it off good. And sorry for the sniffly nose, I'm still not 100% there yet. Aw. Good for you. I'm sure he'll appreciate it. You're such an awesome guy, Robert. I really appreciate having you in here. And I'm sure he'll very much appreciate that. One thing you can't really have too much of is bobbers, to be honest. You can always use a couple extra bobbers. Not bobbers, bobbins. Okay, what am I doing? Not the floaty things, the other ones. Okay, that looks about right, so just get the other one going to the same length here. I always get lucky and it just strips right all the way down, but in this case it's not. Come on, like, it's gonna take all day here. I'll say starling is very soft. You can wrap these as soft tackles too. Yeah, this flu's kind of kicked my butt, but back to a regular work day and getting Christmas going and everything, so. It's got just a one or two kind of damaged fronds on this side. I'm just gonna see if I can get them off. Sorry, it's kind of hard to show that on camera because it's fiddly work, but that's all you need. We're just making a little, basically an eyeball, or what's supposed to represent an eyeball or a fin. Because the original pattern for these was tied to imitate tiny little bait fish minnows. For crappie, was it? What's my thing say here? It was originally created by Ken McLeod, sorry, Ken McLeod in about 1941 to represent newly hatched perch, and they tried different variations of translucent nymphs. Okay, I'm gonna tie this one here is actually just a hair bigger. I'll tie that on your guys' side. Yeah, that looks a little better. They can. That's half the fun, though, is the overcoming the annoyances. For me, anyway. As much as I complain about them at times. That's pretty much right where I want it. Good deal. I like them to be just a whiff away from the body so that when I'm jigging them up and down in the ice, they have a little bit of movement. Almost like a wing, but not quite. A good addition to this one would probably be... Hey Muddy, good to have you in, mate. A good addition to this fly, I might actually do some with it to tie in some of these little black starling fibers as like a little beard, just to give it a little bit of a more nymph and less. I did make that one a little bigger than this one, didn't I? Oh well. Don't tell anyone, the fish won't care. I thought they were a little bit closer to the same size. Thanks, Robert. You're always good about that. I always forget the whole subscribe like thing, to be honest, until someone says something. I'm just gonna retie this in because it moved on me. Come on, you behave yourself now. A little bit more sideways than I wanted it to. Your side's good. There we go. Oh, that's pretty darn close. Try and get it just a hair closer. Sorry, being obsessive for no real good reason, because it's just gonna straighten itself out in the water. Alright, we'll call it good. So I like to tie them in like this, so they're almost like little wings. Traditional pattern has them on the side, so they're more like eyes. But I find when I'm ice fishing, just having something that moves a little water and has a little life to it works well. And like I said, I'm just tying these for myself once the ice comes back. But yeah, feel free to tie these so they're nice and flush against the body like that, so they represent little eyes. If you want them to get more flush against the body, just your base, your thread base there by the head just has to be a little bit thicker. So if it's the same thickness as your body, or there, give or take, it'll be a nice flat, tie there. Whew. Really? Ugh. My whip finish broke. Just give me a second here. I haven't had that happen in a good while. That was my fault though. I was being a little impatient with it. It did get several wraps, so we're good, but morning, Jack. Let me fight with this here. Get 2 wraps on it. Always good to have you in, Jack Pepper. I'm gonna grab my enjoy the fire extinguishers. Replace all the stolen ones. Oh, sorry, that was Muddy. Thanks for dropping in, Muddy. Those half itches just aren't playing ball this morning, are they? Yep. All good. We know you're there. Cheers. Morning all. Oh, it's good tea. Yeah, you can see I kind of cockeyed that one wing a little bit. Let's see if I can get him to settle down just a hair here. That's a little better. Yeah, that's the way I want it, like that. So they're almost like little wings. But yeah, traditionally you'd want to tie those just flat against the side so they represent more like an eyeball, like you would on a salmon fly or what have you. Yeah, since I'm jigging this and not casting it, I think that will help. I'll get some nice lacquer on here for the head. I'm not worried about it being a little buggy on the body. Again, that'll add a little bit of movement. Now this would be a nymph. Actual name is just Nylon Nymph. It's originally tied with a shiny nylon, so like a paracord or dental floss. I'm using a poly yarn, so it's a little bit more on the fuzzy side. But like I said, I'm just going to be using these guys for ice fishing, so I want a little bit more movement in the body. But traditionally it would be tied with some mono, clear mono. We're using some silver thread because again I just want a little bit more visibility and flash out of it. But simple little guy, little blah blah blah. The words with the stuff. Little mallard, little mallard tail. Here, we'll go over it while I spin the thing. So that's a nylon nymph tied on a size 12 hook. For its tail, it's a mallard flank. Just a handful of little fibers. You don't need a big tail, roughly about the gap length or gap height. For the body, it's nylon cord. In this case, it's just a poly yarn. But if you have any 5-strand paracord, that works wonderful. Or just dental floss also works a treat. Anything that's a nice corded up shiny nylon. The wings or eyes on this in case are starling. Traditionally, it was tied with jungle. It was originally tied on a size 14 through to a size 6, so yes, this can get quite large, and it was originally tied by Ken McLeod in about 1941 to represent newly hatched perch fry. It also represents a lot of different translucent nymphs in the water column, which is basically the way I'm fishing it since we don't have perch up here. And I've tied in this case, they look more like wings, but if you're going for the perch pattern, just tie them nice and flat against the body so they represent a little bit more like eyes or fin buds. Yeah, this can be tied all the way up to a 6, so you can have a little bait fish pattern. Yeah, you can get this. Good and large. You can even go with like a streamer style body if you wanted to. And if you're doing that, I'd probably add like a little bit of a beard to it, maybe some more embellishments. I'd also go with the darker, more bronze-colored mallard. Like you can see here, this side's a little bit darker than down here, nice and white. So I go with the darker. As they get bigger, they're going to be older and they're going to be more mature. So I darken up my patterns and make a much heavier thread-based body in that case as well. Yeah, that's what I'm going to be using it for, is ice fishing. We have a lot of white, cream-colored, translucent, grubby stuff that comes up when the ice forms. I don't have a lot on this cork, so we'll start stacking them on this one. I don't necessarily want to go get a whole new cork. Oh, got these guys. Just type of leech, and then some carry specials. So yeah, that's kind of the idea for what I'm using them for anyway. So I'm tying them on smaller, but they do. What happens when the poly yarn or the nylon gets wet is it's fairly translucent, so it'll show the gray. Oh, it'll turn gray because you have black underneath it. So you can tie the yeah, get to walking. Good luck, Robert. Thanks for dropping in, mate. Yeah, you can tie these. One thing I do is I'll tie these with a green underbody, or a burgundy underbody, or a yellow or orange underbody, and then when that white nylon gets wet, it'll show right through. Or not right through, it's a little muted, but you guys get the idea. I don't have any water like I normally do here, or I would show you. But I'm sure your imagination will work fine. So, you want to make a decent thread base, because again, this is part of the color of the fly. But the bigger you go, the bigger your thread base. So, if I was tying these on anything bigger than 8, I would definitely switch to a 6/0 thread or thicker. And that being said, you do want to keep your thread base somewhat even, so we're not making a lumpy body, but that's perfectly fine. It's colored up enough. Where did my thread go? There we go. So this was like a 8 strand, I think, poly yarn. So we're gonna thin that out. You can keep some more strands together when you're tying the bigger stuff. Fentex works a treat for this too if you want a nice smooth body. And if you're making them bigger, the fluffier the body, you can really kind of crank down on it or cord it up, and you'll have a much cleaner segmentation when you put the mono in that in. Okay, so just going to take my mallard flank here, pull it down on an angle, and that'll get most of my tips to be roughly about the same size. We'll just grab those and pop them off. I'm just going to slightly roll this. Now this is going to have a natural curve. You can see this one's naturally curving down, so I'm going to have that curve going up. If you're tying this in a larger baitfish pattern, I would actually do this twice. I'd have one natural curve going down and one natural curve going up. And the reason for that is once you tie the two of them together, it makes a really nice little rear fin on the fly. I do that with my egg and eyes and other little minnow patterns. This guy went a little sideways on me, but I think we're okay. Yeah, we just want that little puff out the back. Nothing crazy. We just want to move a little water. A little lifelike movement back there. Because I'm going more, like I said, for imitating the nymph side of things and the baitfish side of things. You can go much more substantial with the tail if you're doing, like, if you're imitating a small perch or what have you. Oh, let's tie in our thread here first. And we're going to be using the silver thread. Again, I just want to add a little bit of flash to this pattern. There. We'll get back to the body wrap here. Stay. And since you're building the body up a little bit, you should be tying it in the full length of the body, give you a nice kind of even body wrap. And then fully cover it up so you get that nice dark underbody. If you get a little showing through, it's not a big deal at all, but you definitely want the black thread there. Just looking for my half hitch tool. What are you doing all hugging my bobbin like that? That's not cool. Stop. Go over here, behave yourself. There. Yeah, we're just gonna half hitch this so I can rotary. Nice simple little pattern. If you don't have jungle cock like the original tie store, I don't think I would ever tie this with jungle cock just because it's just a little tiny nymph and jungle cock's hard to come by now. But any little black feathers you have are fine. You could even use gray. Upland game bird would be fine too. Try not to interrupt that tail too bad. There we go. I do want to cord this by twisting it clockwise as I'm going. So it helps with the segmentations a little bit, especially at the rear. The thorax part isn't as important. The thorax isn't as segmented, and it's mostly going to be covered by the feather anyway. Go back about halfway, and then back again. And this should fall in between the wraps and give us a fairly smooth thorax. There we go. Save that bit for the next one. I'm just gonna build this up just a little bit and get that wrapped in. Yeah, there we go. There we go. Okay, now we're gonna do 6 or 8 wraps around. As we wrap this, it'll unwrap that. Going to the bottom, we're going to counter wrap. There we go. That'll add a little bit of segmentation and a little bit of flash. Easy peasy. That's another nice thing about this fly if you're fishing. Not that you lose a lot of flies ice fishing, typically don't. But nice and quick and easy to tie, so. Later, Jack Pepper. You have a good rest, mate. A good time for some tea then. Okay, and I ran out of... Well, this is what a bag of them looks like. You can see all the little white nippy bits. Biggest problem with putting them all in a bag like this, if you don't have a skin, is trying to find a couple that are roughly about the same size to match. Looks like one there. They don't have to be exactly close, but actually that one's way too big. Okay, hold on. We'll get one. Boop. Yeah, because you do want them to somewhat match. And these really don't match though. You can see that one's much fatter. This one's much thinner. Oh, I'll try again. There's some in here that were kind of pulling from the same part of the cape, so I'll try and get 2 from close together. But as I've used them, they've kind of floated around. Okay, so that one's not bad. You do get the odd fluff ones like this that are just kind of useless for everything. I'd like to get at least 2 sets out of here so we can tie a couple. That one looks okay. Again, not like super important, but just like if you're matching up wings, if you can match them up, why not, right? Those two look much closer now. There we go. Yeah, these two look good. See, those two are much closer than the previous two, so they'll make much nicer eyes. We're just going to grab the tip and start cleaning up all the fluff. The only time-consuming part of this whole fly, I could have had a bunch of these pre-stripped before I started, I suppose. Save some trouble for you guys. But y'all get the idea. So, a little guy like that, that's probably a little too big still. So I'm just going to grab the tip. I'm going to use my tweezers, just makes this finicky part a little easier. And just remove a few more fibers. There we go. That's what we want. We want the black to be roughly about the same size as the white. And then we'll do our best to make the other one match. Where did I put it? There. There's number 2. Same thing, we'll just grab that. Start stripping this off. Use my fingers at this point. Yeah, if you're doing up a bunch of these, you can just pre-strip, you know, a good dozen or so. You'll get a lot more consistency that way as well, because you can kind of match them up as you go. Nope. I think I made that guy a little on the small side. I did. Okay, we'll save him for the next one. Alright. Try that again. I went a little overboard with the stripping. Apologies. Feel free to leave a complaint in the complaint box. And if you're tying bigger ones like these to represent bait fish like, was it Muddy or he was asking there. You can just use some upland game bird feathers and then just a little dab of white like nail polish, or even yellow if you want to go yellow, just to represent the little eye peck. That's much better. Okay, cool. So you see these two are much closer together now. But you know, if you don't have jungle cock, that's a really close facsimile to jungle cock. It's got that nice green iridescent shine to it that you get with jungle cock. It's got the yellow to white tip, and starling's prevalent. You can get starling everywhere. And a full skin generally is pretty cheap, even in today's weird fly tying material economy. Again, I want mine to be sticking out a little bit like this, so they're almost like little wings, just so there's going to be a little bit more movement. If you're going for more of the bait fish style, then just your thread base right before your body should be the same height. You'll get a nice tight, or at least on the same angle if you've angled it a bit. Just getting rid of some of this fluff while I'm at it. Okay. Sorry guys, just tweaking the stream here for a sec. My apologies. We'll get the second one tied back in. There she is. And I want to tie it, like I said, I just want it to raise up just a little bit. It's more like a fin or a wing than an eye. If I wanted to tie these as an eye, I would have this thread base up just a bit so that it was nice and flat. Oh, that's a little much. Hold on a second. If you need to get them closer to you, you can do like I'm going to try and do right now. Just do some light Yeah, I've heard that they just go nuts over them and gorge themselves on them. And in that case, if you can make it just slightly different than all the millions that are out there, then you'll probably have better luck. Yeah, give it a try, mate. Let me know how it works. I'd be interested. Because we don't have perch here, so I'm only going by what my brain power says it would imitate really well, but to me it looks like a great little imitation of a little small perch fry. But you could add like just some things I would do to play around with the pattern a bit. I'd make the tail like much more substantial, and I'd do, like I said, have it bend down and bend up to imitate a fin a little more. Go a little bit darker colors. You can try like little hot spots, like for a hot spot on a collar or like a tip right before the tail. You can do like a little red hot spot or a little orange. Just something to differentiate your fly from the millions of little fry that are swimming all over the place. That might be enough to get them to key in on it and just start smashing the thing. That's the hope, right? Yeah, in that case, especially if you're going up like size 6, 8 or so, I'd say a larger, depending on how you're fishing it, you could go with like a silver wire, add a little more flash and a little more weight to it. You could tie like a little bit of a beard in too to have a little more movement there. Or even a very slight overwing, like a few strands of bucktail or something along the top might make it really effective. This one side kind of went a little cattywampus on me, but overall, it's good. It'll be just fine. They're gonna get shredded. That's cool. It's fun fishing aggressive trout. For sure. That's where a lot of they just smash it. That's a lot of fun. What is with my, I'm not pulling that hard on it. I'm not sure why Huh. Dude, why are you snapping like that? Okay, 1 second. I'm not having any problem with my thread while I'm tying, so I don't think it's a thread. And I don't think I was all corded up. I'm not sure, but it's happened twice now, so I'm obviously doing something wrong. Can only blame the materials the first time. Or can you? Okay, well, that decided to... Ugh. That decided to snap right off. Maybe it is a thread. Either way, got like 4 or 5 half hitches on there already, so it's all good. It's not going anywhere. I'll get some head cement on it, finish it off. Got one little yarn fiber sticking out the front. There you go. Ah, good enough. That'll all settle down when it dries up. There you go. One nylon nymph with 2 little starling wings on it. So we'll do her a little spiel and I'll rotate her up here. So that's a nylon nymph tied on a size 12 hook. The tail is a gray mallard flank, really lightly tied in, just to give a whiff of a tail. The body is a white and floss or nylon thread. In this case, it's actually a white poly yarn. And it's chased with a silver rib or a clear monofilament rib, traditionally. And it's tied in with 2 tiny, in this case, starling feathers. If you have any jungle cock and you want to use it on that, that would be the traditional feather to use in that case. But in this case, we're using starling. And it imitates little bait fish. It was originally tied by Ken McLeod around 1941 to represent newly hatched perch. So little tiny guys. And also different types of translucent nymphs. I'm tying mine more like a wing pattern on the side, so it represents the nymphs a little bit better and give me a little more movement in the water for ice fishing. There we go. Excuse me. Murky. Yeah, blame the machinery. Stupid thread's faulty. I'm not really sure why that's breaking though. It's like it doesn't want to. It's like the wax is really grippy and it just doesn't want to slide through the whip finish part. But I'm not having problems with it in any other spot on the fly, so not sure. Kind of wish that one wing was turned just a hair, but I don't want to muck it up in the same time. And after about 15-20 minutes of jigging that, it's going to be all find its little happy spot anyway. So not too worried about it. We'll add it to the cork here. And got time for a couple more, I think. Okay, so I'll get another hook out. Yeah, and sorry about the sniffly nose. I'm still recovering a bit from that flu cold thing. But we're alive and tying again, so yay. Wow, why? Honestly, I do all sorts just because I get bored. I'll try different things, but generally speaking, I'll twitch it up, maybe about 2 feet into the column, and then let it slowly come back down. A lot of times the nymphs will do that. They'll twitch up, a foot to 2 feet, and then they'll stop and rest. And yeah, that simple movement is what the fish are going to be keying in on. Yeah, I kind of balled it up there. 1 second. Let's straighten that out. Yeah, where I'm fishing this, I'm probably going to be using these for kokanee actually, and they like the little minnows and such, and they like shiny stuff. But the kokanee will come by in schools, and they'll just skirt around, and they'll kind of patrol the shallows, like about 15-20 feet off the shore, and they'll just cruise in like schools of 15 or 20. So it's really just more of a waiting game than an attraction game. You just gotta wait for the school to come by, and then you'll get a bunch of hits. And then a lot of times they'll circle back around and hit it up again. But yeah, they're a lot of fun. Yeah, I'm just gonna do this forward, just smooth that body out a bit, and then we'll go back. A lot of times I'll have a large flasher down the hole with like no hook on it, just like not the kind like glacier sharkies, and not that big, but something in the middle, or even a big spoon, like I don't know if you remember, about yay big, like a size 4 or something, without a hook on it, and just sit there and jig that up and down to create the flash to call the school of kokanee. Kokanee are just landlocked little salmon. Yeah, they're fun, and they generally nail things, and they bite really hard. They fight well. But there's I got like, oh god, I got a lot of lakes close to me, but one of the lakes, I got about 6 lakes within walking distance from my house, like decent sized lakes, and one of them has a fairly substantial kokanee population in it. So once the ice picks up, I'll probably be on that one. And they're really active in the early season too, the kokanee, for ice fishing. Yeah, this seems to work a treat for them anyway. So again, we're just going for a whiff. Tail fiber. Yeah, they'll come by in a group of like 10 to 15, and they'll just murder anything as they swoop around the lake. They're normally, like I said, about that 10 to 15 foot out from the shore, which is great because that's right where like your dock lets out your casting range. So they're actually a lot of fun to cast out from the dock, and like I said, you just got to get lucky when they're swarming by. They don't really mingle and hang out so much. I'm sure they do, but compared to the rainbows and stuff in the lake that'll hunker down by a log, or hang out in the deeper water and then come in and feed in the shallow. Um, the kokanee do school, and well, they act like salmon, right? They just act different. Yeah, we'll tie in our silver wire. Well, just so everyone can see, just regular old silver wire, or not wire, thread, sorry, silver thread. And they're tasty. Yeah, I'm sure ours do too, but you know, I don't fish that deep, so. But there's lots of guys that troll the lakes with deep gear, so I'm sure they're going after them there. We also have, is this the wrong piece? Here, I'll try that. I think this piece will be big enough. They also have Gerards in that lake too, which get very big. And they only eat little fish. Well, I've never caught a Gerard on one of these, but I imagine if they were cruising, they could pick up on one of these. Especially the smaller Gerards. Yeah, you bet. Landlocked salmon. They're stock kokanee, so they're not wild in that lake anyway. But we do have a lot of landlocked kokanee that are wild here too. They get stuck from low water and different things. I'm excited. I got a come on now. Got myself a power box and a Starlink Mini, so I can actually get some fly fishing videos going this summer. Because the vast majority of lakes I fish don't have any cell service, so I can't do the live streaming. The only ones that really do are like the river bottoms. Like I've done a few live streams of me fishing like the river mouths and stuff down in the lower valley. Not super conducive to fly fishing because they're normally really deep and really windy. But with the Starlink Mini, I should be able to get out there and get some other lakes covered. And some of the lakes, I might be the only person to ever live stream them, which would be kind of cool. Caught my hook point there. I don't think it's gonna be a problem on that. We're good. I just want to keep kind of gently clockwise wrapping this so we get a kind of corded body, at least for this first part. Doesn't matter so much for the thorax because I'm going to be backing over it. I hear my chicken's going off. Not sure why he's upset. It's not even light out yet. Sun's not up. He's early. Should be pretty soon here though. He's not super early. It's just early. Fortunately, one of my girls passed away yesterday, so I had to bury her in the back of the property. By girls, I mean chicken. One of my kids. Yeah. So make sure I'm clear on that. Well, that's too bad. She was a good chicken. I'm just gonna hand wrap these instead of rotary. Might not be as pretty, but it's all good. They're just ice fishing nymphs. Thought I got that one caught in, but I guess I didn't. Caught it now. If you need like a super fine silver tinsel, you can strip the cord out of these, and then you're left with a very fine. You do have to be careful with it, but that's gonna be handy for tying in like segmentations or tippets on some salmon streamers. If you just need a little bit of cord to go in, and you don't want it to be corded up. You want it to lay flat. You can strip out the center cord. Done that a few times. Okay, so we're gonna build up this thread base using 6/0, so it's gonna take me a second. And I want it to be just a hair below the white. Hopefully you guys can see that. I need to go just a little bit more. The bigger the difference between your base where you're tying in and your body or your thorax there, the more it's going to flare out, because it's going to pop it out when you tighten it. Okay, so these are the ones we're going to be tying in. This one's kind of kinked out on an angle, but I think he's going to work okay. We're not going to judge if he's a little kinky. I do like to use the kind of busted feathers up, and it's a nice challenge to make them bend to your will. That's what we're going for. Let's see if I can recreate that on the other side. That's our second. It's a little sharper than the other guy, but I think he'll work. Again, if you got the time and patience, matching these up before you start tying can save you a lot of headache and trouble. And I just snapped it, but I think I snapped it at a good spot actually. Just gonna get the tweezers here. Yeah, there we go. Since I got this guy in my hand, I'm gonna tie him in first. And I'll tie him on my side because he's probably not as pretty as the other one. Not judging, dude. Just your friend looks nicer. That's all. Yeah, that went pretty good. After that one, he's sticking out just a hair. You can see there, a little bit away from the body. That's what I want. I just want a little bit of room. So when I'm bringing her up and down, get the little bit of movement there. probably. There we go. There, that tied in pretty good actually. Happy with that. Let's pluck that off. Do got a couple little nylon fibers coming out the front, but nothing crazy. Alright, let's see if we can actually get this whip finish to work this time. Jeez. Not sure how confident I am, but we're gonna do it. Okay, you're gonna behave yourself, and you're gonna do a good whip finish today. I'm not doing anything crazy. Just nice and light. Not over torquing it, not doing too many wraps. I think we're at 3 or 4 there. Nothing crazy. There we go. Okay, well that one went fine. It must have been the talking to. Always give your tools a talking to. Well, there we go. Cute little dude. Hey, Maddie, good to have you in. Yeah, I'll be at work in a couple hours here. Just getting some little nymphs done up this morning. This is a Nylon Nymph. We're actually just going to do our pause and spiel here. Well, it's a Nylon Nymph tied on a size 12 hook. Has a little tuft and mallard flank out the back for the tail, just a little whiff. Nothing crazy. It's tied with a body which is made of white floss, nylon, sorry, mine went blank there. Dental floss works really well as polycord from inside of paracord works good. If you have like a 5-strand paracord, you want that kind of shiny nylon look. In this case, I'm just using a white poly yarn, so it's very close. And it'll show through the thread body underneath. It's tied in with a silver thread rib. Traditionally, this would have been tied in with a monofilament rib. I just wanted a little extra shine on there. We're using starling feathers for the wings or eyes in this case. And this was originally tied by Ken McLeod about 1941 to represent newly hatched perch fry, and it was also used to imitate a number of translucent nymphs, which is what I'll be using it for ice fishing. There you go. Hey, thanks, Maddie. Appreciate that, mate. Thank you. I haven't had a super chat in a good while. That warms my heart. Appreciate it. Right at the end of my stream, I really appreciate it. Hey, Matt. Good to have you in as well. Thank you kindly, sir. That will go towards some new materials. Actually, it'll probably go towards shipping out flies for giveaways. Either way, I'll make sure it gets a good use for you. Have a good day at work. Appreciate it, Maddie. Just got a couple minutes here before I gotta take off, but if anyone has any comments, concerns, accusations, questions, feel free to throw them in the chat there and we'll hit them up. Matt's a little beetle today. Yeah, you can do all sorts of little variations with this guy. It's a simple little light nymph. Yeah, hopefully I'll catch your stream up today or tomorrow when you're done work. That's all good. Better late than never. You can always catch us tomorrow. In here almost every day. Besides being sick. Okay, I'll cut it out short here. I'm gonna go make me some breakfast for the kids and get the day rolling. Had all the Christmas concerts yesterday, so that's out of the way. There's our 3 little nylon nymphs there. And thanks again for the super chat there, Maddie. I really do appreciate that. Does help me keep funding all the fun stuff I want to do in this spring here. Just clean up my tools here. If anyone wants to chat, feel free. We've got a couple minutes left. If you haven't already, feel free to drop a like. I think we actually had a good number of likes on this one. What are we sitting at? 12 likes, that's pretty good. Happy with that. Yeah, I just want to wish you all a good morning. Thanks for hanging out with me. Always a pleasure to have you.